most disturbing videos on the internet today. Hit that like and subscribe button so you can see more videos like this.
So a place people don't usually go to is Memphis. Memphis was the old ancient capital of Egypt. It has some very interesting statues to have a look at. It's a trip worth doing, just purely for the beauty of the countryside that it's located in. So a place people don't usually go to is Memphis. Memphis was the old...
This is in Memphis?
14,000 pound anchor. 14,000 pounds right here. So think about that. Would you have a 14,000 pound anchor for your ship? Okay, you just decided to craft a 14,000 pound anchor. That's crazy when you think about it. And this is when they're saying about during the times of the World Fair, they're just cranking out all of these things. And what I started to realize was everything that was on display at the World Fair was already here. It was just being put in front of the peasants so that they could learn about something that was already here. So things like this, a 14,000 pound anchor, was from when people used to be a lot bigger. When you get into the times of the giants and the bigger people that used to be around this realm, you start to see a lot of stuff that's much bigger. You see giant doors, you see giant anchors, you see giant buildings, all kinds of entrances. It kind of starts to make you think about something different. Now here's another one, because, tobacco always got a bad name. A 14,000 pound anchor. 14,000 pounds right here.
And this was back in the day? What was really going on? No Mayflower is cranking that on board.
That one to me is so crazy that someone is keeping that information from the rest of the humans.
Parents are a pair who rents. Because you don't own your child, you sign them away using a signature. You signed your nature with a sigil. Sigil is a symbol used in witchcraft. Oh my God! You are born into this world, and the word born comes from barren, which means lifeless, dull, and boring. Then you are controlled by the government, the governmentality. They control your mind. Everything physical began as a thought in the thinking mind. The mind is the root cause of reality, so they control your mind, not your body. They do this by broadcasting spells to north, east, west, and south, the news. My God! Wow! Then they teach you the vowels in this specific order, A, E, I, O, U. To teach you that you owe them to become a slave. You are weak in the weekdays because you are working, where you were a king. You are no longer a king if you are working. Then on the weekend, you are weakened from the weekdays. Days is a daze where you are in a state of confusion. The television is used to tell a vision, to program you on the programs. They want you to think slaughter is laughter, hello is hell is low. Words are swords because they mold your mind. They also create three-dimensional sound waves which impacts the fabric of matter. I believe that we were never meant to use words. Language has been manipulated so that we no longer use telepathy, because we are all connected on the mental plane.
That one to me is so crazy that someone is keeping that information from the rest of the humans.
Parents are a pair who rents.
That is wild. The most wild part to that to me, did you see the part where he said words and you move the words around and it was swords? You remember the children's song, Sticks and Stones May Break My Bones, but words would never hurt me? How far from the truth were they?
Are you still trying to figure out who that really is? Even after my first video? My first video where I make a pretty convincing case that this is no coincidence. But if you're still not convinced, hang on to your seats because I got some new information and it all stems from this beautiful statue constructed in 1848. You see, that statue is actually a statue of Lucifer, and it's called the Genius of Evil. And when you look closely, there are some pretty unmistakable similarities between this statue and a certain statue in the NYC. Let's start by examining this chain attached to Lucifer's ankle. Could that be a symbol of being imprisoned in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years? And you'd probably have never noticed, but I sure did. A very similar chain attached to that Statue of Liberty. And when you look at the faces of those two seemingly unrelated statues, they sure bear an awful similar resemblance. And did you happen to notice what Lucifer was holding in his hand in that statue? A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 point crown? Well, have you ever noticed how many points are in the Statue of Liberty's crown? And did you happen to notice what type of fruit was hanging out in the bottom of that statue as well? And well, I really don't have to go here, do I? And although small, and at the very bottom of the statue, did you notice this torch laying on the ground? That torch that just also happens to bear a very similar resemblance? That torch that Lucifer, the light bearer, is often depicted with? Often depicted with right in plain sight? So much in plain sight that you probably look right past it and might even unknowingly be rooting for it. But nah, it's all just a coincidence. They just happen to look alike and have the same pointed crown and the same torch and the same association with an apple and the same chain. Just a big coincidence. Just the way this is all a coincidence too. No one really worships any fallen angels and pays tribute to them through characters that a lot of people look up to. Just like the Vatican would never actually call their telescope Lucifer. It's just all jokes. It's all for fun. It's all entertainment. But stay tuned for some more information on that. But like I said, this was all for shits and gigs, for your entertainment, because that's all I am. Satire and entertainment purposes only. Are you still trying to figure out?
Unbelievable. It all matches up.
That's another one. I mean, the whole cholesterol thing, your brain is made up of cholesterol, your heart is made up of cholesterol. So when they tell you to avoid cholesterol, you're basically avoiding the parts that are naturally occurring in your body. It doesn't make any sense. Like even an egg gives you the complete protein. It gives you every nutrient you want. It also gives you copper. In the yolk, you get some copper. And if you eat a raw egg, you get 100% of your copper for the day. And that's why they say the egg is the ultimate food. But here comes Bill Gates with some fake weird, yellow sprayed egg that he's gonna say it's not an egg, it's a oak or something. He'll come up with some weird word. And that's what it is. They just make up things. They're taking nature, which is perfect, dissecting it, breaking it down, and then selling it back to you with like 1% of what it used to have. I mean, think about that. Does that make any sense? Like you're gonna eat this synthetic, lab-grown fake food. How is that food? It's not. They will market it as food. Babies need cholesterol and the soy formula. Yes, this is a big one too. That's another one. I mean, the whole cholesterol thing.
This is the black magic of ferrofluid. Let's learn how to use it. So what happens when you pass an electric current through a coil, influencing the magnetic field, which influences the ferrofluid. But it can do way more than that. We can use it by smushing it between two sheets of plastic or glass to view magnetic fields. And if you look really closely, you can see the shape that it makes is the torus. Now, I've talked about that video up there, but it's very important because those steel balls are suspended in a magnetic field, and if you look at the video below it, they rest in the pockets that the magnetic field creates. This is because energy flows in a torus, but it creates geometry out of that. Now, a while ago, IBM took this picture of an atom. This picture was made by photographing the pattern sound makes by going through water on top of a speaker. Now, these two are vastly different in scale, but they follow the same rules. Why is that? This is because there are geometric rules that govern the entire universe. The basics of this can be seen in the flower of life. There's a few basic principles and they're very easy to understand. Energy flows so fast through this shape, it's like a helicopter blade. It appears that it's a solid disc, but it's not. It's four blades moving very quickly. This allows atoms to bond together and electrons to flow around that. If we know this structure on a very small level, then we can extrapolate that and use it to uncover the nature of physical reality. If you connect the lines within this shape, it can create all other. This is the black magic of ferrofluid.
When they showed the actual picture of an atom, I believe IBM took, I couldn't help but notice the honeycomb structures in there. It's hexagonal structures within an atom. How cool is that?
I'm fully convinced. We're stealing all of our tech from ancient temples. I know what you're thinking. That's just one example. No, it's not. That's a different temple, different ceiling. Okay, turbines are really complex. They got a lot of moving parts. Yeah, and they put those in there too. They're on the pillars. Speaking of pillars, you ever seen these? These are ionic pillars. Ionic pillars. I caught you. I'm onto you. I got you. Okay. Parabolic antenna. It's a fancy word for satellite TV dish. Egypt. Egypt. Yeah, y'all have been to Karnak, I know. But have you been to the Osirian? Because from the top down, it looks a whole lot like a really basic computer processor. Probably just took a quick drive over to Promenade and upgraded the hardware, huh? Where are you going to plug that in? Ancient city in China? Right there, maybe? Feeling a little bit more Middle Eastern, maybe Persepolis? High frequency oscillator. You mean Anchor Watt? Yeah, cat's out of the bag, buddy. Micro resonator. You mean Tamil Temple? I didn't forget about the circuit diagram. Yeah, you didn't reverse engineer an acoustic masterpiece. Plasma confinement. Well, that's a quick little upgrade if you just go to Dendera. Then you got a cathode ray tube, old tube TV. Quantum computer. I need to see the sky miles, especially from the guys at CERN. Y'all think you're just so smart, huh? I'm fully convinced. We're stealing all.
I'm convinced too. Look at the look at the air jet turbine, and look at the temple ceiling. It's damn near identical. I wouldn't be surprised if the temple ceiling could start swirling, to be honest with you. Incredible. Look at those giant wheels on there. I wouldn't be surprised if all that stuff spins, or it did spin at one time. And it's just clogged up over the years. Look at the details. Nobody's chiseling that all day. I don't care who you are. They're not going to have people chisel that into rock. They use some type of advanced CNC machine or laser on these stone buildings, stone and marble structures. But it's extremely beautiful, though. I got to see that one day. This looks like it's in India somewhere.
Family, we are dealing with two types of history. The one pushed by them and the one pushed by us. Both of the history leads to a total other result in an other world. Look, family. The one taught by them leads to this. If you Google 100-year-old buildings, you will find only the wooden buildings. Look, again, 100 years old. The history that we have been taught talks about wars. Their history teaches us about slavery and how slavery became the economic engine. You see this? This is New York 200 years ago. This is also their history that we have been taught. Family, look at this. This is Oxford 1810 and Oxford 2015. Not a lot has changed, right? This is the other history. Independent researchers are finding a total other side of the history. Look at this. This is New York 100 years ago. Again, a picture of New York 100 years ago. Their history talks about how the civilization is not even 200 years developed. And the other history talks about how humanity used to have free energy. One is showing us that 200 years ago we only had horses and buggies, and the other history shows us that we used to have electricity and all type of vehicles. Look, family, this is what charging an electric car looked like in 1912. Look again, electric cars. So family, we are dealing with two types of history.
So check out this video where a man attaches a copper wire and flies a drone up to about 115 meters and shows off the ether in action.
All right, I'm gonna stop at 115 and hold steady. All right, it didn't blow up yet. Oh, by the way, meet the aerial film crew. I just thought this was a cool shot. Oh yeah, I'm getting shocked right now. This time I just used the electroscope as a quick voltage check. Woo! Now that's a few thousand volts right there. Alright, let's see if there's enough current to make this Franklin bell work. Oh, dude! Freaking working, buddy! Yeah! It's a really cool process. The aerial wire places a positive charge on this can, which then influences the foil ball to deliver electrons from the grounded can, which is directly connected to Earth. The clouds finally opened up, so I connected up the corona motor. Like before, one side was connected to ground, while the other was attached to the aerial wire. And after just a few seconds, hey, she's spinning! This is just remarkable. It never really spun that fast, but I just sat and enjoyed the miracle. I mean, I quite literally was siphoning energy straight from the atmosphere. This motor was operating off of several kilovolts, which you could actually hear if you stopped the motor and brought your finger near the aerial wire. That's the
So check out this video where a man attaches a
Sounds like an Indian chant, doesn't it? That's just looks like an elementary experiment harvesting the ether. Imagine if you had the blueprints to the best way to harness the ether, and you actually had buildings up there. I'm telling you, there will be no need for power plants, all these wires in the sky. You know, there will be no need. But it also begs the question, did they have some type of internet within the ether?
Much of the technology we have today is simple reinventions of old world tech, reinvented to maximize profit. Electric cars, electric buses, and much more was quite the prominent form of transportation. So much so in the 1890s, New York, 75% of all vehicle traffic was made up by electric vehicles. So what happened? The controllers came along and shelved all this technology. Once they figured out just how much profit, just how much dependency we could get from their oil. And now over 100 years later, that technology just coming back to the mainstream at the expense of the third world countries where the cobalt mines come from. And I'm not saying all these electric vehicles were perfect and didn't come with their own set of flaws. But I believe if technology and innovation was truly left to the hands of us, it would have been in a way better spot. I mean, just look, over 100 years ago, they already had fleets of rechargeable taxis, street cleaners, buses. Boy, were they beautiful and classy looking. Nothing like the cheap plastic cars that we get today. But we are all waking up, and we are seeing that there's a better way. And I believe we'll find that together. Question everything, friends. Until next time. Much of the technology we have today
is incredibly fascinating. The electro bus. Look at this. They really were driving this. This had no gas. You know, they were sufficient back in the day. I wonder if they got this in any museum that we can visit this. The electric railway. Oh my goodness.
Once upon a time, there was a civilization that was far superior and more sophisticated than we could ever imagine. This civilization was systematically destroyed and hidden from our history books. This civilization used atmospheric energy to obtain electricity. Having free energy meant that humanity could focus on more serious endeavors, such as creation, creativity, love, and self-development. We see these same geometric, beautiful buildings all over the world, from Africa to China to Japan to South America to Europe. These buildings show us that we lived in an interconnected culture, a culture that understood the deeper levels of existence and how to harness electromagnetic energy. History is a lie and a story built by our oppressors to continue to keep us enslaved, but we will rise again. Once upon a time.
Just to think that some of these photos are from our past is unbelievable. How creepy is that? Look at this. This was like an air balloon exhibit. Fascinating.
Up in South Carolina?
No.
Does anybody know if Brandon or Corey are out there?
Did you see that?
Yeah. Bro. Come on, Max. You see that? They found it. Look at that. Look at that. set up in South Carolina?
No.
All right, this is some type of advanced plasma orb. Look how it's flapping.
This test comes from Ogunquit, Maine. The observer was located here on the beach. The target for the observation was the Boone Island Light, located here in the Atlantic Ocean. The distance between the 2 points was about 10.7 miles. The camera, or observation height, was a mere 3 feet off of the water. Here are a few images of the lighthouse. I have to say, it's really deepened my love for these old lighthouses. They're one of my favorite proofs of the focal height of the Boone Island Light is 137 feet off of the water. The lighthouse itself is 135 feet tall. According to the Globe Curving Water Model, nearly 50 feet, or 15 meters, should be hidden below the curvature of the Earth. Let's see if the actual footage matches the Globe. The footage is clear and unmistakable. You can even see the edges of the island. No question about it, that footage should be impossible under the Globe.
10 miles away, though? That is crazy.
There's a man on TikTok who keeps getting banned for talking about a dragon. At first, I was like the rest of you all. I said, that's a little far-fetched. But today, I want to show you something that will make your mind go, was Dragon Man telling the truth? Check this out. There's a man on...
Am I tripping, or did that thing look like Godzilla? There ain't no way. I didn't found the actual petrified Godzilla.
4 elements correspond with your 4 bodies of consciousness. Fire is your spirit, earth is your body, air is your mind, water is your emotions. Turning water into wine is turning an emotion into a physical reality because your emotions are energy in motion. Your brain and your mind are 2 separate things. Your mind is the fabric of the universe itself. It's purely metaphysical. Thoughts are not made of atoms. Your mind is the universe. It creates everything. This was a thought before it is a physical reality. Thought creates matter. The central nervous system in the body is the machine. Every thought you think produces an emotion in the heart, and the heart creates the electromagnetic field around the body and turns the emotion into energy in motion. Your emotions create your vibration, and your vibe attracts your tribe. Your vibe attracts your reality. You attract what you are, not what you want. Your external world is a mirror of your internal thoughts and emotions. Your consciousness, thoughts, emotions, and actions create the fabric of your life. Every thought you thought in the past has led you to this very point in your life. Therefore, your internal world projects your outer world. Your mind is a frequency tuner. You have to set your mind to frequencies, which is the desired reality you want. Your reality you want already exists in the mind. You've got to set your mind to that frequency. That's why we call it a mindset. Emotions are a creational force. They should not be reactive. When we control our emotions, we control what is attracted to us. Mind over matter. Our minds and emotions manipulate our physical existence. You are a creator. You are created in the image of God, and you are a microcosm of God, creating your own universe and world. Protect your mind at all costs. Everything you listen to is shaping your consciousness and shaping your mind, which is then shaping your external reality.
What an interesting theory. It's almost like manifesting your thoughts in a way is what I took away from that.
Gravity A is what is currently being labeled as the strong nuclear force in mainstream physics, and gravity A is the wave that you need to access and amplify to enable you to cause space-time distortion for interstellar travel. To keep them straight, just remember that gravity A works on an atomic scale, and gravity B is a big gravity wave that works on a stellar or planetary level. However, don't mistake the size of these waves for their strength, because gravity A is a much stronger force than gravity B. You can momentarily break the gravity B field of the Earth simply by jumping in the air.
If you enjoyed the most disturbing videos trending on the internet, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. This is Dark Waters 9. See you tomorrow.